Good morning. Welcome to Series 3 of Co-Parenting with Phancee. This morning we're going to talk about why choose mediation over going to court. Well, that answer is pretty simple, but there's a lot that goes into mediation. And that is, how willing are you to put aside your differences and make sacrifices for your children? How willing are you? How willing are you to come up with a plan with the person that you can't even get along with? How willing are you to set aside any issues that you have personally with this person so that you can move on with your life and build a healthy lifestyle for your children? One reason you want to choose mediation is because in mediation, you are in full control of what decision is made for your children. Another thing, mediation is very cost effective. The money that you spend in court, being caught up into litigation, and actually handing over your life to someone who don't even know you is very, very costly. If you have a lot of money, you may think that, it's no big deal. But I'm here to tell you that there are some situations that can easily be fixed for a few $100s. And some people would rather fix them for a couple of $1,000s. Normally, that is people that, number one, have the financial means. And number two, they don't like to make their own decisions. They like other people to make decisions for them. So they would rather give their decisions to a person in power than to be powerful themselves and make their own decision. Or sometimes people choose litigation because that's their only option. And if litigation is your only option, I'm all for it, because sometimes you can't come sit at the table with a fool. You can't co-parent with a fool. You can't come up with better solutions with a fool. So that's when you have to go to litigation, and you have to put your trust into a judge that don't know anything about you. The only thing the judge know about you is typically what they've read. And sometimes what people read is not always the truth. But then the judge learns more about you once you go into court and you express how you feel about the situation. And you express your eagerness and willingness to be a good parent. Or you express your dislike for the other parent, and that do not sit well with the judge. One thing about that mediation is you're free to say whatever you want. A lot of people don't understand that when you go to mediation, when you come out of mediation and there's an agreement that has been made, the only thing that you need to tell that judge is that there was an agreement that was made. If you called your ex a two-faced dog in mediation, that is something that the judge will not know. Because, see, mediation is confidential. Mediation is private. And there are things that can be said in mediation that the judge will never hear. Once you go into court and you express how you truly feel about your ex, that is documented on paper, and that stays in that file. And when someone wants to go back through that history and look at what you said, those are things that can be used against you. You have to be very careful as to how you present yourself in court. In mediation, a good mediator is not going to document in writing things that you say unless it is harmful to the other person, unless it is a threat on someone's life. But all of your, snide remarks that you make in mediation, which sometimes you will make them, even though when mediation begins, there are rules that are set and ground rules for mediation. Sometimes people still get into their emotions and they do say things out of context. And as a mediator, it is our job to try to bring the focus back to the situation. But I do understand that people have emotions. Emotions start to rise. And, sometimes you say things. These are not things that's going to be used against you in court. These are not things that's going to be taken back to the judge if you're in mediation, because you actually been court ordered to go to mediation. But mediation gives you the control over your life. It gives you the control over your children's life. It gives you the control over your situation, okay? And I always advocate for individuals to try mediation first. I'm not saying that mediation always works, but this is what I can tell you. Once you go through mediation and an agreement is made, that agreement has a very higher chance of staying intact than going to court and letting the judge make a decision for you. Because once you go to court and you have that paper and that judge make that decision, as soon as someone don't do exactly what they're supposed to do, you go back and run into the judge. See, in mediation, it's a little different. Once you go through mediation, more than likely, you and that person, y'all continue to try to work it out. It don't always happen. What I'm saying is, more than likely, that's what happens when you go to mediation. I want to encourage all of you that's either going through custody issues, trying to figure out what's best for your child. I want you to really sit down tonight, today, and really write down some of the things that's going wrong in your life, some of the things that went wrong in your past, and see if you can somehow separate those two things and come up with what you can make right in your life, and make that be the focus when you're going into this custody battle or this custody dispute or whatever you all are trying to come up with that's going to be beneficial for your kid. Try to put that at the very front of everything else. Put your emotions on the back burner. Go get therapy for your emotions. Find a different way to channel your emotions besides trying to destroy the person that you had kids with. Because there is no good that comes from that. Your kids get older, and the thing about it is they start to realize exactly which parent. They're going to either realize a few things. They're going to realize which parent was wrong. They're going to realize that either both parents was wrong. And if they realize that both parents were wrong, that may isolate your kids for the both of you. And neither one of you all may have access to your kid. Try to find common ground for the sake of your children. Let me tell you where I am in my life. You could not pay me to go into a courthouse. You could not pay me to take anyone that I am currently involved with, that means my husband or even my son's father, back into a courtroom to come up with the best plan for my children. See, when I was an idiot and when I was stupid and I didn't know no better, and I felt like giving the judge my power was the right thing to do, it failed. It was an epic fail, because what it did was it made our relationship so strenuous. It made our parenting so hard that we could never see eye to eye on just the important things. But as you get older, you start to learn that going to court is not always the solution for your parenting. It is the solution for some people, because some people just can't get along, because sometimes you have one person that's more evil and spiteful and manipulative than the other person, and I can't expect for you to want to mediate with someone like that, because that person clearly has a mental disorder, and until they get that in check, and until they go ahead and seek the treatment that they need to cure that illness, they're not going to be able to sit down in a room with you and make a decision that's going to stick. But don't go to court if you don't have to. Try mediation. It's so much cheaper than going to give your money to a courthouse, giving your money to a lawyer, and it's not as time consuming as court. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry that my attire is off today, but I'm on my way to a kickboxing class, so I had to go do this video from the car. Blessings, kisses for all of your children, because guess what? they are what matters most.